Welcome to the ObstacleDominator.com podcast featuring Benny Gifford and Bracken Crocker. Whether you want to dominate your next obstacle race or just get started in obstacle racing, you're about to discover every tactic you need to know, from gear to training to nutrition. Get the latest tips from the trenches, get your questions answered, and show up at your next obstacle race ready to dominate. And now, here's Benny and Bracken.
Welcome back to Obstacle Dominator, you guys. This is episode number 4, and this is attempt number 4, I think, as well. We've had to retry this a couple times because my Wi-Fi was being ridiculous, and we finally got it all figured out, though, and we got Bracken on the line as usual. How's it going, Brack?
It's going a little less good than it was when we started, Benny.
Hey, at least we only wasted, what was it, like 3 or 4 minutes? We didn't get super far into this.
Time is money.
Time is money. Well, I've upgraded my background because now we're doing YouTube, and I'm in this mythical Narnia forest, and it's pretty chilly in here. So,
what is that made out of? Is it some sort of space age reflective material?
No, man. This is. I brought snow and I planted some trees in the closet behind me to make sure that there's some nice energy in here. It's a sheet.
It's a sheet.
Yeah. It's a beautiful sheet, right? Well, we have sitting in the background somebody in a massively different time zone. He is he's an international athlete, and he is one of the top athletes in OCR in the world. He consistently finishes in the top 10 at the OCR World Championships. We'll get details exactly where he finishes, but he is the only other person I know that is of the weight range and height and size of Hunter McIntyre, and yet still competing at the level he competes at. I'm talking about the giant, I don't know, like 1.5 meter tall South African.
Benny, that's 4.5 feet.
Whatever. Thomas Van Tonder. Wait, that's short?
1.5 meters is like 4.5 feet.
Oh, okay. Whatever. He's tall. He's big. He's fast. He's Thomas Van Tonder from South Africa.
Thomas, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me on. I would have loved to be like 1.5 meters high. I think that would have been much faster. Yeah.
My crawls would be fantastic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's funny you mentioned that. Like, people always ask me, like, being so tall, you have no disadvantages. But when you got to crawl like through something or under something, the length from your like hip to your knee is just too long.
Or even swinging on something low. Your feet want to touch the ground.
Yeah. So it has a little bit of disadvantage, but and yeah, like I mentioned in intake 1, 2, or 3, that I'm too fat to catch Albin.
Too fat to catch Albin was the delineation mark between in shape and out of shape. The entire world would be too fat.
That's a good point. Now I don't feel so bad about it.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I want to distinguish why you are such a notable character. Aside from being, I think at this point, undisputably South Africa's best OCR athlete, you are the only, not the only, I think there's like 2 or 3 of you now, but you are one of the, there's 3 of you. Okay, there's only 3 OCR athletes in the world that are sponsored by Red Bull, and you are one of them, my friend. I wanted to save this for later, honestly, but that is my ideal sponsor. Their media and the spirit of their company is the most beautiful, like pure adventurous thing I've ever seen that's just about promoting athletes. Obviously, they have a drink that they're promoting, but they take extreme athletes and adventure athletes who don't do typical, team sports and things like that. And if you've ever seen a Red Bull commercial, you know what I'm talking about. They're stunning. How, dude? How did you land something like that?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. The whole world of Red Bull is just on its own level, hey? They're just, I don't know, everything they do is just like one notch up or like one step of, like ahead of a curve. It's crazy. It's mind-blowing. So how did I end up being here? I would have never, if I have to take it back a couple of steps, I would have never thought this mud jumping, carrying stuff around kind of sport of ours would have gotten me into Red Bull Cap. I wouldn't have thought that ever. But yes, it's been close on a 3-year journey to get into this cap. And usually any Red Bull contract or any Red Bull like sponsorship is quite a devious process to get into. It's not like, hey, you're quite cool, here's a cap. They're quite meticulous in what they do, and everything like runs through Austria, which is like what do you call it, international like base. So it kind of started. I used to run for Jeep. I used to be this like bumblebee suited guy with Jeep written all over. I think I wore it once at World Champs. And Jeep team got nominated for like a PR award, our local like sports awards. It's called Discovery Sports Awards. And anyone in the like South African obstacle racing, or not obstacle, South African sporting scene from like whatever, rugby, cricket, everyone would be there. And we went there for the nomination as part of our like team managers and whatnot. And there's where we like met up with the athlete manager at that time of like South African Red Bull athletes and whatnot. And I think it might have just been a right place, right time kind of thing, because they're always, but they were looking for like new sporting codes. There's no branching out a bit. They've got a lot of stuff on wheels, like bikes and rallies and whatnot. And this is kind of one of the big up and coming things that kind of fits into their, let's call it profile or stereotype. And to cut quite a long story really short, we started up from there, met up a bit, networked a bit, sent my sports CV through, and they pitched me at International that year as a possible, up and coming athlete amongst a whole lot of other people, from anything from kayaking to, I don't know, building Legos really fast. So we
that's really a thing. Building Legos really fast.
I don't know. I would just imagine the weirdest sport I could think of, and that's the thing that came into my head. So I got pitched at International, and I got shortlisted at one of the possible athletes to go forward. And the athlete manager at that time resigned from Red Bull. So I became like this myth. No one really knew where I fit in, or like, what is this Thomas guy? Where does he come from? What does he do? And it took almost, I would say, 6 months to get that process back on track. And yeah, that really sucked. But
yeah, man, that would put me on edge. I'd be like, I am so close to this dream sponsorship, and then my connection with the company just pieces out. It's like, no, I'm still cool. Come back.
I'm still cool. Exactly. So that sucked really bad. But like you said, it's like this dream goal, this dream sponsorship, this dream, like just being part of this world, and having that, connecting that to OCR kind of would have give the sport almost like a credibility stamp in a way, from a brand like that. So I was really freaking stoked to get this thing in the bag.
You said something in there about how it was kind of like a right place, right time thing. And I think there's this idea about luck. And I have an interesting, I like to define luck in a certain way. I think luck is only 50% actual luck, and it's 50% preparedness. So luck is an equation split between two things. It's being in the right place at the right time. And then the other 50% that you do have control over is being prepared. And they came to you, or you found them, or whatever, that meeting happened once you had already been kicking ass and doing exactly what you loved and being an attractive potential for, years. You'd been doing obstacle course racing and, racing for Jeep and Toyota for a long time. And so you didn't just like fall into the sponsorship.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I think by that time I built up 3 years top 10 elite at World Champs, local. I had like something decent to present and to show, like, I kind of know what I'm doing in this space. I didn't like start yesterday. So it was a hard work and some luck. Exactly. You nailed it.
Right.
But from where we started picking up the process again, it was kind of almost want to say a 1.5 to 2 year process to like get to go through. So it's, I don't know what to say. It's quite, some days it's still overwhelming for me to think I'm sitting here and I'm representing these oaks, and some days it feels really cool, and some days it's like still unreal.
Yeah.
A lot of people picture what their dream sponsorship is, and they see someone with it and they think like they've arrived, that's it, they got it, they're set. Sometimes what people forget is that it's not just a set in stone type deal. Is there pressure that comes with being a Red Bull athlete, the pressure to maintain it, to maybe race more often, or do you feel like you have to perform at big events now because you have more riding on the line? Or are they pretty cool about being like, go out there, do your thing, you have our support?
That is actually a really good question. I think it's a question in a lot of people's mind locally. Some people ask me that, and the answer usually is, I was very surprised in the way they handled their athletes. Like last year, I almost want to say over-raced. I did like a hell of a lot of events, and I kind of spoke to the athlete manager at the start of this year, told him like, I'm going to try and tap back a bit on the events and do more like quality versus quantity, rather go for quality. And he said, whatever, bro, we support you all the way. So they kind of, you do your thing, you do it to the best of your ability, and they stand behind you like a monster.
That's awesome.
That was like a rock. Let's put a rock there. So that's really cool on their side. It's not like they come to you like, hey Thomas, you gotta go beat Alvin or we're cutting this sponsorship. There's nothing like, I don't even catch a vibe like that.
Bracken, you want to know something interesting specific to Bracken and what you're talking about? I joined Team Lou, and some of you OG people will remember what Team Lou was, and you can look at Bracken's face to get an idea. But the first time I felt like a professional athlete or like a sponsored athlete, I joined this team called Team Lou that used to be like, I don't even know what you call it, like a group that managed athletes and whatever. And they connected me with sponsors and stuff. And I joined this team, I think in 2015, and I show up to Atlas Race, which is a race that's no longer around. And it was San Antonio? Yeah, it was San Antonio on that motocross track. And Daniel Liu, who was the owner of it, is telling me over and over, you have to beat Bracken. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? And we had this like hour-long phone call where he was like coaching me and telling me I had bad mentality. I was like, I get the idea of train like you can beat anybody in the world, but that doesn't mean you can just show up and beat Usain Bolt. There's still, I get the mentality versus reality thing, but he was like, no, you need to beat Bracken. And that was probably one of the most stressful races I've ever had. And I didn't enjoy it hardly at all, except for when Hobie just started flipping that random tire. And we were like, okay, I guess we're flipping tire. Remember that, Bracken? There was just a tire in the middle of a field. It was not an obstacle. And Hobie's in the lead and he just starts flipping it. Oh, was that you?
Yeah, I decided I was going to lead Hobie early on. He crushed me, but yeah, we got to random obstacles that had no and no instructions.
Well, you remember afterwards they said there was that random pile of tires out there. It said that wasn't an obstacle. You were just supposed to run past that. So you just start
a pile of tractor tires in the middle of the course. But
right.
Anyways, it's nice to hear that you have the freedom from pressure. I think every top athlete in the world, maybe not every, but the vast majority at some point hit that season like, okay, I've made it to the next level. I have to do it now. And we all have that season that we over race. And then the next season, we all have to back off and say, that it's just not possible to burn the candle on both ends like that. I have to be a little bit more smart. Doesn't mean we can't race a lot, but we can't show up to every race needing to win and feeling the pressure, always the pressure of just, I have to perform. It doesn't work. That's not the way we work.
Yeah. I must say there is, pressure in the terms of, everybody else from the outside perspective. A lot of people have like this expectation that you rock up with this cap on your head, like you're like the best in your business. And I think there is a bit of pressure that I kind of put on myself. Like I really want to do well now. It's like this extra drive to really want to be like on top of my game. But it's not coming from Red Bull side. It's more like a personal thing.
For anybody who doesn't know, Thomas keeps on saying that this cap on my head, Red Bull athletes, the ones who actually get sponsored by Red Bull, there's a cap that they get that no one else in the world can get. Like you can't just go online. I'm sure they have a patent that you can't just go somewhere and slap that logo the way they have it on a hat and act like an athlete. So that's the hat that marks you as an actual sponsored Red Bull athlete.
Yeah, spot on. They're not available for any merch anywhere. There is hats that says like Red Bull Racing, KTM, or like Formula One. They have like brands that is branded with Red Bull on a cap that they would sell as merchandise. But Red Bull only branded caps is athlete exclusive. No one else is allowed to walk around.
It makes you a Mark fan though. Puts that target square on your back.
Oh yeah, I know.
So with you being from South Africa, like everyone here knows, because every athlete in our sport gets interviewed and gets asked the same question, how did you discover OCR? So everybody gets where OCR stemmed from in the US, but was it the same kind of organic? Well, it can't really be as organic because, or whatever. The question is, how did you discover OCR and how did it kind of turn into the big scene that it is in South Africa now?
Good question. I think the very first race that I did was actually a warrior race. I did it with a bunch of friends from a kickboxing club, and we just went at it, and we spent like, I don't know, hour and a half on a 5 kilometer course, just being crazy, jumping around and whatever, having fun. And as I finished, there was some of the like elite oaks or the front heat oaks of that time like finishing, and I saw this. I thought, well, this would be really cool to race. It would be quite fun. And so I entered the next race. I remember it sitting there at that laptop, and I have to click like, so the top distance called Black Ops. We have rookie, commando, Black Ops. It's like 5, 10, 15K kind of scenario. It's kind of like Sprint Super Beast. So yeah, rookie, commando, Black Ops. So I entered Black Ops, but it's sitting there as elite, and then just the normal Black Ops would be like the non-elite heat. I'm sitting there as elite sounds like this, pedestal thing, and like, ooh, I'm not ready for that. So I entered for just normal Black Ops, started like 10 minutes behind the elite heat, and I came over the line second overall. I was like, damn, I'm gonna train for this. I can do all of this. And from there, I entered the next one, elite, and I came second again. And from there, I won like 2 or 3 in a row. I was like, no, light bulb, pong. This is something I can do like really well at. From there, it became beast mode, game face kind of scenario.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Side note, if there ever is at an OCR World some sort of like inter competition fight that breaks out, Thomas, I would appreciate if we can team up on the same side. The viewers at home, Thomas is a black belt in kickboxing, correct?
That is correct. First degree
black belt. The most dangerous man in OCR. Yes or no?
Maybe. I don't know. There's some sneaky guys in OCR. You never know what they all do. But
I
haven't done kickboxing
forces, so we have to watch out for them. But right now, could you draw the line in the sand and say you could defeat anyone in hand-to-hand combat at OCR Worlds in 2019?
That's a big line to draw, but I'll take the challenge. I'd prefer to do the challenge from start line to finish line, but yeah, I haven't done kickboxing in let's say 3.5 odd years, because I kept on like getting injuries, get kicked on the knee or something, and you can't train or you can't run, So I kind of had to choose like what I want to do, OCR versus kickboxing. You can't do both.
Up to that point,
I haven't done it in a while.
There was some good carryover. Did you have any skills other than mental focus, any physical skills carry over from martial arts to OCR?
Yeah, I think absolutely. We did a lot of like core strength and like stability kind of stuff. And most of the training we did was like, let's call it bodyweight functional kind of stuff. It's not like you're hitting the gym and you're hitting weights. So it's applicable on OCR in a way, in that sense. And just those, I almost want to call it short fiber muscles, those quick fire muscles. When you get to an obstacle and you have to like burst over it or something, you have to do something. The small burst energy stuff kind of, I think, transferred well. But other than that, just the mental game of someone toes the line next to you, of kind of in a race, mid race, they're like sneaking up on you, this like one-on-one rivalry. Yeah, the headspace really helped with that. Just like, I will win this fight. And even if it's not a fight, in your head it's like, it's one-on-one rivalry. So yeah, pretty cool.
What was your kickboxing weight like compared to what you race at right now?
I think I'm about 2 or 3 Ks heavier now than I was then.
Really?
I don't know why. We tried to stay as light as we can during the fighting. It was about 82, sometimes 83, currently 85, 86. So yeah, about 2, 3 Ks.
Right around, for our US viewers, 190 pounds.
Yeah, that's a big guy.
Yeah, that's hefty on the course.
Yeah. Makes me even more annoyed how much you stomp me.
Well, yeah, on a short course, it's usually I could like just flatline it, like the 3K at Worlds. That's short enough to just monster it all the way through. But the 15K, I got to be a bit more conservative. Hauling this piece of meat around that course takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of obstacles, you've gone like this up to the screen a couple times, and you've got some beat up hands right now. What's going on there?
So yeah, this is my let's call it winning marks. No, I'm joking. We had a challenge at a place called KZN or KwaZulu-Natal. It's one of the regions in South Africa where we had 100-meter monkey bar set up like on a rugby field at a OCR training gym called Adventure Obstacle Training. So 100 meters of monkey bar, and then you check how long you can keep going. So no time limit, just distance. How many meters of monkey bar can you physically do? And I actually used like those little CrossFit leathery stuff that you wrap around your wrist to kind of try and protect the skin of my hand. But it wasn't really successful. But I got to 306 meters before I could physically not hang on these things.
Meters without.
Holy.
Yeah, so that sounds like a lot. 306 sounds like a lot. But then I have to tell you this. There was this little oak. I guess he actually went before me. He's 7 years old. Okay. And yeah, wait for it. He did 527 meters of monkey bar. And it took him just over 25 minutes to do it. So, but he was hanging for 25 minutes, and he did 527 meters. He just kept on going. Eventually, his dad stopped him. Like, you got to get off because your shoulders are not going to be well after this. It's like developing kid. He's 7 years old.
That's Thomas. That's Thomas Basin, or what is his last? That's his son, right?
Yes, Tom Basson. It's his son. He's quite involved in OCR. They actually train. So one of my biggest competitions, Claude Exterior, that's his training venue. Yeah, so he's got a big oak.
He's huge.
He's short, but he's like sturdy as hell. His legs and his arms.
He's got legs for arms. They're ridiculous.
That's kind of a good description. Yes, he's got legs for arms, and he uses them well on the sprint course, especially. It's just like a small machine.
His legs get tired. He just switches to running on his arms real quick.
Yeah, see, so his son is obviously following in his footsteps. I think we're going to have some trouble down here in 20 years' time.
That's amazing.
25 minutes of monkey bars. A 25-minute dead hang is out of this world. I can't even comprehend 527 meters of monkey bar.
Not to diminish the feat of it, but I think a dead hang would be harder. Like the 25-minute dead hang would be more brutal than 25 minutes of monkey bars, because you're at least, I mean, it's a different type of grip. Like there's opening and closing, but it's not a static, just fry the same group over and over for like, I can dead hang for maybe 70% of the time that I can, if I'm trying to do like the Yancey Camp 10 by 100 challenge, which is you do a pull-up, you hang for 10 seconds, and then you repeat that over and over, my total time for that will be greater than my just straight dead hang time, because, as long as you don't drop and hit the ground, you can like shake out an arm and release and stuff. So, but 25 minutes is still just freaking mind-blowing.
Oh, just the damage on your hands alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like my hands look way worse than his. His actually didn't look, it got ripped, but it just doesn't look this bad. But I guess it comes down to like what is your weight versus how hard is your hands kind of thing. Because my grip wasn't fried that I couldn't hold on to the bar. I think if I had something to protect my skin a bit more, I might have been able to do a bit more than 306. But
how long did it take?
I'm not sure. I have to go check the video. I think it was close on 7 or 8 minutes.
Wow.
Crazy. So have you heard of the nuclear rush
race
in the UK, where they have that 100-meter monkey bar, and like 3 or 4 people ever have completed it during the race? And here you have
100 meters.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard that they have one. I don't know exactly where it was, but they would definitely have to go up and attempt it.
Yeah, you should. They have a penalty if you can't do it. You have to do this extremely obnoxious. It's just barrier fences, and there's 100 of them that all go right next to the monkey bars, and you have to get over every single one. So if you fail the monkey bars, I don't know if you start where you failed or if you do the whole thing.
You fall off, you move over, and you do the rest of the fences from there.
Okay. But I've heard that only, like Bracken said, 3 people have done it, but then one of those people did it there and back.
So that's 200 meters.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, so what is going on that you South Africans have such brutal grip strength? I remember the year I came into obstacle racing, I already got, I came in the summer of 2014. And by the end of 2014, I was already searching for a race that would actually have challenging obstacles that would make me think, oh shit, I don't know if I can finish this, because nothing like that was existing yet. And And so I found the Warrior race online, and I was like, this looks insane. And I went out there, and they did not disappoint. They didn't disappoint in another side, the strength obstacles that no one said anything about. And you know what I'm talking about, Thomas, with that damn tire drag that was insane. But please tell me, tell the listeners about what you guys got going over in South Africa, the grip strength and the strength challenges.
Yeah, so we everybody freaks out about the big grip obstacles, but you got bombed by the nationals event. Like it was the final event of the year, and they kind of step up the carries a bit, step up, it's notch everything a little bit, not too much that it's like out of proportion. But the tire drag was quite long, I must admit myself. And the sandbag carry, Beni got the double sandbag carry, and yeah, he did not look happy.
No. The double sandbag carry was 127 pounds, and that actually was not that bad. It was the tire, dude. That thing was like, that was over a quarter mile, and those were flipping tires. Those are not the tires that you drag, and it was through like patchy grass, so there's no momentum.
That sucks so bad. The grass, you just can't get going.
Yeah.
Was there a rope or a tether, or did you have to grab the rim of the tire and just pull?
It hugs around your waist, and you kind of like do this bear crawl thing. But I shit you not, there is no momentum. You could not get it dragging. Every single step, it comes to a complete halt because there's like knobs of grass grabbing it. And I remember getting like halfway through it. I've probably been going for 10 minutes at this point, and I look up and I'm like, what the? And I see Thomas, in the front. I'm like, what? He's right there, but he's probably a full 5 minutes ahead of me. And I got out of that. My legs had never done anything like that before, and I tried to start running. And I just had Bambi legs. Like I could not freaking move for the next half mile.
Are you eating right now?
No.
We have video, Beni.
You can't hear anything, okay?
Of course we can hear. And
We hear everything, Beni.
You guys can hear me chewing?
You're digesting.
Yeah, like everything.
You guys can't hear me. You're lying. I'll stop eating.
Level of professionalism on this podcast. It's just
hey, that's what keep the listeners coming back. All right,
yeah.
Thomas, tell us about the race.
Yeah, so it is the Warrior race. It has kind of grown famous for its like grip obstacles and the videos that come out of it. But I must say, everybody just filmed the crazy parts, and then they put like the video together. The first one that kind of went out to the US and that people saw about like the big rigs and so on, was just a video of me on the One Nationals event where we put all the rigs footage like back to back, and then it looked like really insane. I must say that event was quite an insane one. But in general, I think people are like afraid to come down to do this races because they have this image like it's overwhelmingly difficult. And the tire drag, that specific one, was really bad. But it is above averagely long, and the grass was really sucky. So I also want to mention, before I say how bad the races are, that it's not all that bad. It is doable.
The fact that you're having to put such a long disclaimer leading up to it is not helping your case.
Well, and you're right. You nailed it. People are hesitant to travel all the way there because it's so expensive to get there, with the knowledge that they might not win any money, or they might not even finish the race. And I think that's people from experiencing everything that South African OCR has to offer, because like for myself, I don't think I'd want to front a $1,200 flight going over there thinking, what if my grip gives out and I can't even finish this thing? That's unfortunate because your OCR scene is so vibrant.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of the thing I want to avoid. I don't want to make it sound like it's this monstrosity of an event where we put like hundreds of rigs back to back and we're like, bring it on, and we're going to fail, we're never going to finish, So I think this is a discussion we can have like all around the world. Like, what is the balance of having obstacles too hard where people just like fail and they get like demotivated and don't come back, to where it's still a challenge but not too easy, So currently, I think our scene locally, we kind of found a balance where everybody's quite happy with having rigs that are really hard, but we still get to be able to like complete them without like trying 100 times, I guess. I'm quite good at that. So the opinion from my side, I think other people might complain a bit more. But the rigs are quite difficult, I'm not going to lie. But it's not that bad that you would still have a chance of finishing it if you put in some effort.
Thomas, this might help deliver your point. You haven't had experience with Battle Frog, but Battle Frog went under because they did not ever figure out that equation. Well, not just because, but that was part of it. And even though I've done the South Africa Warrior race, it's still a tier below what Battle Frog had. So it's not crush your soul constantly. There's no reward. You're just beaten up constantly. It's not like that. There are a lot of obstacles that anybody will be able to do. They just have more of the obstacles that challenge you, but none of them are just beat you into the ground over and over like Battle Frog did.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, it's still a very doable race, but you are gonna have a challenge. It's not gonna be a walk in the park.
Right.
And that's interesting because right now we're starting to face that in the Spartan series, which is the dominant industry in the US right now, is that the athlete field has just gotten too efficient at the obstacles. It's no longer about that. It's about your speed in between. It's become almost like steeplechase, and that the obstacles are not child's play, but they've been seen so often. People have been doing the same obstacles for 3, 4, 5 years. They're good at them, and now everyone has mastered it. Most people can make their spear throw, so it's just a running race. And now the runners are very happy about that, but the people who have the advantage now are clamoring for more and more obstacles. And you talked about that worldwide conversation. It's an interesting one. Do we feel the need to constantly evolve and strengthen the obstacles in order to keep challenging people, or is the emphasis on the athlete to get better at the running now?
I think there's two sides to that kind of. There is definitely advantages in having a course that is known or that is set that you can kind of train for. It does take away a bit of like the fun or unknown factor in a way, and it eventually comes to a point where everybody like can do everything like at 110% efficiency. But what do I want to say now? What was my point? I lost the second point.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's tough. Should the sport have to change each year in order to keep challenging the athletes, or should we say, why would we rank one skill above the other? Running is an equal skill to obstacling. And once the runners get good at obstacling, the obstaclers can't then in turn say, well, that's not fair because for the previous couple of years, it wasn't fair to the runners. So we tend to play to our strengths. The runners really want them to stop making it harder, and the people who are good at obstacles want them to not make it a running race, but it's always going to be a running race. So I agree. Is there a right call in your mind?
I think it's going to be an ongoing discussion like this for the next couple of years. Like there will always be a group that's better runners, always be a group that's better like strength oriented athletes, and they always like voice their opinions to try and like change the race. But let's take an example of like 100 or 200 meter events. People don't go and try and tell them, hey, like I'm actually good at like 130. Can we like change it a bit? So we are a growing sport, and there will be growing pains like this. And I think this thing would kind of just work itself in time. There will be brands that would stick to a certain set of obstacles, certain set of rules. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Spartan introduced like one new obstacle this year, like some twisty metal thing. I don't know what it's called. But if you maybe, let's go rotate some of the obstacles, let's say if you break the year down into quarters maybe. In each quarter you take away one obstacle and put in a different one. It'll keep it consistent, but it'll still keep it like you have something new to train on or something different, which will kind of bring the fun factor into it as well. So I think it will come back to a balance of when do you change it up too much? When is it too much running?
I got to throw my hat in on this one because this is something I've thought a lot about. Somebody made the argument that with the 100-meter dash, nobody goes, well, we need to make it 110 meters or we need to make it 90 meters or whatever. You just get faster at it, and that's what stands out. And I get that argument, but we are not track and field. We have a million other variables. Track and field is how fast can you get from point A to B with running. There's nothing else to it. With our sport, there's a million variables to it. And so to me, it's not an apt description. Like, what's more exciting to watch? Somebody doing this on rings extremely quickly, or somebody who has to like dive out and do some kind of twisty gymnastic motion like you guys have with the ring, rope, ring. That looks so freaking cool. And it's still extremely quick. It doesn't stall the pace of the race, things like that. There's ways to develop obstacles that are not failable necessarily, but they still require tricky, spectator-friendly movements, and they also play to people who aren't just, you know, linear athletes who can't really, you know, they can run forward and that's about all they can do. And as to the question about the balance of obstacles and running, I think we're still quite a ways away from finding that balance, because even at the most obstacle dense race we've ever had, which was the 3K last year, the OCR World Championships, there were 47, well, there were supposed to be 47 obstacles, but they ended up taking out a few. I think it rounded out to like 43 obstacles in 1.8 miles. Like, that's a wicked ratio. And even then, the guy who is the best runner, the most developed aerobic ability, he still smashed everybody. And so in my mind, okay, so this might be kind of controversial, but John Albin, I guess I have to preface it before I say it. John Albin, obviously, is probably, without a doubt, besides maybe Lindsey Webster, the greatest OCR athlete in the world. But he has nothing fascinating on obstacles. He will never fail an obstacle. He gets through them very smoothly, but he doesn't do anything amazing. He's not overwhelmingly fast on obstacles or anything like that. As far as obstacles go in the elite field, he's an average obstacle guy. And to me, the only thing that sets him apart is his ability to maintain that high speed at a lower heart rate rather than anybody, which mostly rewards the runner style people. And so even in our most obstacle dense, shortest course that we have, the runner still won. And so have we really found the balance between obstacle racing and running? I don't think so.
I'm going to make one counter argument to that, and I would say John is above average on obstacles. I think John has the luxury of not having to press on obstacles, but anytime we've seen him have to press, he does something that kind of makes you step back and say, oh, there's more to this guy's athleticism than we've ever seen. I've seen him hurdle 5-foot walls. I've seen him jump on top of a tire wall that everyone else rolled over. He just jumped and stepped on and leaped off. And I've seen him do some things when he's playing around or pressed, where he just changes a little bit and you realize we see him running really hard and cruise controlling obstacles. So that's the only argument to that. I think you're right, though, that at the end of the day, it always is a running race. It's the fastest person to the end. And once you get over 3 or 4 minutes, it's an endurance event. And so it's always going to be on getting faster.
Okay. I guess I need to distinguish or make a tiny distinction in the statement I was making, is that the guy who wins is somebody who almost never even has to exhibit that. Because like you said, it's random. It's rare.
So dominant aerobically.
What
I'd say along the lines of what you're both saying is that you both mentioned the term fun. And while that doesn't really have its place in determining the rules of an event, in any other sport, it does in this sport, I believe. Because every single one of us got into the sport either on accident, on a whim, or because we wanted to try it out. It wasn't something we grew up with, and we all stuck with this because it had a fun unknown factor that we'd never experienced anywhere else.
Yeah.
As soon as you make everything really, really standardized, it becomes a rote exercise rather than a randomized exercise. And maybe randomized is the wrong term, but there's something fantastic about being surprised by something on course. I don't need an obstacle to be impossible, but people should have to sometimes figure things out on the fly. And it starts rewarding the ability to do obstacles more than the ability to perfect an obstacle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
I really like the idea that you don't have to necessarily have seen every obstacle going into a race, and it doesn't have to be fair to one side or the other. It rewards the ability to be adaptive in your obstacling. And if that means some races have super heavy carries, so be it. And if some have less heavy carries and have a lot of rigs, let's do that too. But I'm a little worried about overly standardizing the sport and making it just another biathlon or modern pentathlon or steeplechase or triathlon, where my obstacle lasts exactly 800 meters here, for my swim, and then exactly 30K on my bike and exactly 10K on my run. You know exactly what the transitions are. There's no mystery. It's just execution. And I think there's something powerful about the mystery of our sport.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we standardize it to that level where everything is exactly the same, even if we have to take it to like meters or distance between obstacles, I would find it boring as well. There's something about having something new.
So where do you stand, Thomas, on the Olympic question? Because whatever makes it into the Olympics, whatever format it is, I don't think it's going to look anything like what we have now. And if I were to progress to the point to where that honor was extended to me to compete in the Olympic version of our sport, I would probably still do it because of the, like I said, the honor and the clout of doing that. But it would not be for fun, because the format that's going to get in there is going to be the only reason it would be fun is because of the intensity in the competition, not because of the course. Like it's going to be.
We have no idea what's going to be there.
Well, okay, you're right. I don't know, but it's got to be so standardized to that level that
I think this is the argument that everyone gets wrong. I think we always hear, but what about the Olympics? We need standardization. What are some of the most popular sports that have made it into the Olympics that weren't normally there? You have skateboarding. You have ski cross or snowcross. You have things where they create a skateboarding freestyle course and they create it randomly for that Olympics. They don't have a standardized course coming in. They're going to have ramps, they're going to have rails, but the way they set it up and the style of getting through the course is totally new for the Olympics. And those are the sports that have actually worked. I think the sports that are so standardized, that have set everything, are the ones that are actually being removed from the Olympics.
The audience, this is why we brought on Bracken, because he knows, like, I'll be honest, I had no flipping idea skateboarding was in the Olympics. Like, in my mind, I'm a random viewer. I see the typical sports you see on there. So I'm in my head, I was thinking, a typical stadium event where you have to fit it on the track and blah, blah, blah. So yay, Bracken, because that totally changes my mentality on it. That's the only reason I had been kind of about the Olympics with this, because I was thinking it's going to have to be some boring, repetitive, standardized course. But you're totally right.
It might be, but I don't think it's a roadblock to not have it standardized. I think they can put on whatever they want. And honestly, I believe we're so far away from that it doesn't even matter right now.
Right. Right. Did you guys,
yeah.
Have you guys seen that lightsaber dueling is now a professional sport? I think it's in France, and they're talking about, it's funny, they just started talking about the Olympics, but we all know that's at least like 40 years away if it ever actually does reach it. But I don't think people realize how long it takes for sports to get into the Olympics.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see games there real quick. I think they're going to make the quickest entrance we've ever seen. Thomas, you play video games at all?
No, now and then, yeah. Not a lot, but I do.
What do you play? What's your poison?
That's for poison. No, like first-person shooters are quite cool. Yeah. Like Call of Duty and so on.
Yeah. I will never move past Black Ops 2. Never. I'll just continue playing that until it's no longer supported.
Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Xbox.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm okay with Xbox. I just don't have one. I have an original. I have a Xbox, which I use for Halo 1 and 2.
Oh, there we go.
You got Halo on Xbox?
Yeah, come on.
Dude, we got to play. We got to play sometime. I never had a system until I lived with Hunter, and Hunter loves to keep the testosterone high in between workouts. So we got an Xbox just for like shit talking in between sessions.
This is not a 360. This is an Xbox. The old one.
You're years back, because I have an Xbox One. Oh, they're not compatible, I don't think.
Sorry.
Well,
old school.
Yeah, so what, you're beating up, like, who are you even playing? Like the 12 people who are online?
Yep.
That's awesome.
No, I haven't played since I moved back from Colorado. Macaulay and I, in between workouts, we didn't have any job out there other than running and coaching. So in between workouts, we played a lot of Black Ops.
How does Lisa feel about that?
I mean, we were both stay-at-home parents. Let me go play video games. She's all right with that.
That's awesome. That was never a good thing with me and my ex. But so Thomas, how'd you get so swole, my friend? Like what is the ratio that you've got in training that allows you, because you are one of these standout athletes where you're that size and you have that aerobic ability. So are you spending roughly 80% of your time running, 20% of your time? Like what does your training look like?
Currently, that'll be a good summary of it. About 80% definitely running, and about 20 would be focused on the rest. I have like a bouldering session like once a week where I spend like probably 3 to 5 hours in the climbing gym just bouldering around.
That's a lot of time.
Well, obviously not 5 hours on the wall, but just with some mates, we go there. They always have like a bouldering comp going on like once a week. And we just go there and climb until you can't climb no more. That usually helps a lot with that, like different kinds of grip and finger strength and so on.
Right.
Other than that, mostly running. I have these sessions that I've been doing the last, let's call it 3 months, with guys called like Advanced Sports Performance. It's more like a running form, kind of running drills, these small muscles you don't kind of train in your regular training, like different kind of movements that'll contribute to a better running style or so on. Because I can run, but my style of running is really bad. Like the start of the run, I look really good, and the end, I come in like this limp giraffe, just like I never look good coming over the finish. So if I can fine tune that running form aspect, that might just give me that little bit of extra, like 10% I need on the run. But spot on. 80% of my training is still running. During the week, I'll do shorter stuff like shorter, like let's call it hill sprints or track sessions and so on and whatnot. Hard day always followed by easy day. Weekends will be longer stuff. Like this weekend, we had a 3.5-hour run down where the monkeybar challenge was. Just trails going to like rivers and whatever. Then it's not focused on pace or anything whatsoever. It's just slow, easy, time on your legs. Those are my favorite training sessions. You just go out and explore for like 3 hours.
And you're above Johannesburg, right? Where you live in South Africa?
So I live in a place called Hartbeespoort. It is just north of Johannesburg, about an hour north, in a range called the Magaliesberg Mountains, which is one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. I think they're older than the Himalayas, much smaller than the Himalayas, but they are older. Quite a cool place to train and so on. Having like living in this place kind of helps a lot.
Yeah, you have this might have been my ignorant brain at work until I went out there, but when I pictured South Africa, I was just like, a little bit of Jungle Book action, lions and flat fields everywhere and stuff like that. And that was indeed not the okay. Bracken's face confirms that was just my ignorant brain. But it is gorgeous out there, man. I stayed out there with Greg and Alec, and we went to the Cradle of Humanity, and dude, we got chased. We went kloofing, which is like you guys call it kloofing, yeah?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and it's like running in between two cliffs where there's like a river at the bottom, and you're kind of just like jumping from boulder to boulder, and it's just a wickedly cool time. And there was like this family of baboons that went along the wall next to us, and it was terrifying because they can rip you. You don't realize they can rip you to shreds until they're like 20 feet from you, and they got those fangs and they're shouting at you.
They can be quite dangerous, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of were they shouting at you, Benny?
It's just rude. They were like, "You're slow, you suck." It was so rude, man. It hurt my feelings. But brutal, man. It was terrible on my insecurities. But that place is gorgeous. Across a 10K of kloofing, we saw green rolling rivers with moss on the cliffside and just freezing fresh water. We saw like a beautiful forest when we kind of came out of this, not quite swampy, but like a Portland type scene to more of a Colorado pines. And then we came up out of that gorge on top, and suddenly it was like what you picture when you think of Africa. It was just like that tall brown grass, and it just in 10K we saw all this different terrain. That country is gorgeous.
Yeah, I must say you probably went to a place called Mountain Sanctuary Park and a kloof called Tonkwane, and it's quite a famous one actually. But the picture you're painting, and most of the people who are listening to this would think that most of the country look like that. And we do have a lot of awesome like nature viewpoints, and but we do have stuff like roads and malls and airports. It's not just lions running around eating people. A lot of people have that like impression of South Africa. When I was coming back from the US, I think it was 2015, I was sitting on the bus. Where was that? Atlanta? No, that's Canada. Cincinnati.
No.
Cincinnati.
No, Atlanta's in the US.
Okay, totally messed up. So I just crossed that.
Cincinnati is accurate. You're in the state of Ohio.
Yes. There we go, Ohio. Woohoo! Hello, Thomas. So coming out of Ohio, we're on our way to the airport, and I'm getting on the bus with all my bags, and there's this big lady sitting there, like, "Where you going, son?" And I'm like, "I'm going home." Like, "Where you from?" Like, "South Africa." I'm like, "Oh, South Africa." but you're white. I'm like, I don't have this impression. Like, I can't be from South Africa because I'm white. And it's really not the case.
We're a fairly ignorant culture, I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree. But that was quite funny.
I agree. Because you speak Afrikaans, right?
Yeah, we learned you one or two words, and I'm hard to say you still remember them. But,
no, I remember all of them, man.
So locally, we don't have barbecue. We have braai. So
Braai.
Kind of same thing. Just it's a real braai. If you just make a fire and it like becomes full, and you barbecue on that. It's not like if it's gas, it doesn't count. It has to be fire. Then it's braai. And the other word, there's no English substitute for it. But if something is like really cool or really nice or enjoyable or just awesome, we call it lekker.
Lekker.
Yeah, it's like it's lekker being on the podcast, or food can be lekker, or like it's just this. I don't know. It's awesome.
It's professional.
Substitute for it.
Something else you guys say is, and at first when I heard this, I thought that is the dumbest thing, because you say now. But now means later, like whenever. Which to me, when Alex or Greg's mom was saying now to me, I was like, oh shoot, okay, like right now. And she's like, oh no, that means like whenever, like later. Yeah. And I was like, why would you use the word that means immediately twice to mean later? But then I thought about our language, and I was like, and people say I haven't seen you in a minute to literally mean a year or whatever. And I was like, okay, all right, yeah, you say I haven't seen you in a minute, and then that means any level of time.
Your dialect there, Benny.
Hey, that's where I learned the term, was from pop culture, so I'm just trying to bring that along with it.
So you guys are painting a pretty awesome picture of South Africa. And I hope it does a little bit to get people to kind of open up a little bit and get over there in races. If people are interested in getting over there, what would you recommend? What time of year is best to go there? What kind of race series should they start looking at online to plan their trip? What should we be doing in South Africa?
So yeah, we have great weather like all year round. If we have winter, we don't really have winter, as we call it winter, and then it gets to like 0 degrees. Then we all like walk around with really big jackets.
Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Yeah, Celsius. Again, this conversion thing. But any time of year is a good time to come to South Africa. We have some of the like best weather in the world. And
do you have racing year round too?
Yeah, we don't. Mid-year, we usually have fewer races because it's our winter season. But we still do have races that just kind of move to the coastline where it's a bit hotter. We have our SA Championships event actually like in July, which is mid-year, which is in a place called Blythedale. The route actually goes onto the beach, and you kind of run along the beach and you cut back into the forest and stuff. So it's a really cool venue. But hands down, the Warrior Race is the biggest and best race in the country. They are just crushing it, not in terms just of the course and so on, but it's a well-organized event, and people know what they're doing. And they actually run a whole lot of other events as well, like mountain biking and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So they know what they're doing, and the events are set up well, and it's marshaled well, and so on. So if you're going to make the effort to,
what's the prize money like over there?
Prize money for Warrior Race win would be 10,000 rand. What would that be in dollar? I'll have to go check that. So 10,000 rand. Whoever has a calculator or Google to close by, can check it.
Do a little search here while you guys chat.
It's roughly 18 times weaker than the US dollar, so it's still pretty substantial. Like, you guys don't give out tiny prize money. It's probably like winning a Savage race here, which is roughly $1,000. I think I don't remember exactly, but then again, I had that number kind of still in my head because I was looking at when I went over there, it was for the championships, and so that was probably substantially bigger prize money.
Yeah, the championships usually have a bit more on that event, and our SA Championships event now is that event. We don't have it like at the end of the year anymore. It's like this mid-season SA Champs. It has a bit more prize money. Cool event.
Yeah.
10,000 rand is roughly $700 US.
Okay. Which is.
What would your championship be?
Championships last year was 25,000 rand. For the win on the day.
1,700. 1,750.
Yeah, so that's your flight plus your entire stay there. Because like I said, when you're there, the rand is it's quite a bit weaker. So you can, you know, go on a shopping spree and then look at your account. You've spent like $1.50. So it's pretty great. I definitely.
Funny, but it's true.
What?
Yeah.
I say it's funny because it's true. Like if you guys come over here, you just like buy everything. So currency,
Yeah.
so weak currency.
That is
So
pretty
the flight
great.
might be.
Solomon stuff I see you wearing.
Hey?
I said I have to get some of those Solomon jackets I see you wearing.
Yeah, exactly. You'll come all the way over to South Africa to get some salmon gear. I like that.
Save some money.
Good reason for coming. Anytime.
That's the way to use your noggin, Bracken.
So what does it look like now, Thomas? What's your focus? Are we going to see you over in the US at all?
US, maybe not this year. Definitely the biggest race of the year is World Champs, without a doubt. I'm still kind of deciding if I want to put like super hard focus into the 3K, since I can actually do rather well at that, or if I want to keep my full focus on the 15K. That's still like a pending decision to make. I'm looking at going over to Europe, May, June. There's that OCR series events going on over there that I want to go try out, and we can go over for about a month, and there's 3 events we can hit. So we're gonna. It's still pending. Might not go, budget dependent, but we're gonna try and go over for that. And then the other big one would be OCR World Champs. But last year I didn't. Yeah.
Is Red Bull?
Second.
What part of Europe are you looking at?
I think the one race is in Germany, the one is in Netherlands, and the other one I'll have to go check how to pronounce that. Not sure.
Okay.
So it's not all in the same place, but it's here, there, and everywhere.
Are you trying to hit that Red Bull Conquer the Castle one? That's like their obstacle course race.
That would be really cool to go over to that one. I haven't found the date for it for this year just yet. I don't know if they released it or not. I'll have to go check again. But when they do, that is one of them I'll definitely go to. Yeah.
Yeah, Nikolai and Leon from Denmark were telling me about it, and they literally have some, as you would say, oak who's owns a castle, and you get to run through the castle and you run through the dungeons and stuff, and it just sounds like their version of a stadium race, just so much cooler.
How cool is that? Owning a castle. I want to own a castle one day. That sounds so epic.
Yeah. So what's been like we were talking about training earlier, so I meant to ask this then, but I want to know what has been like the biggest Achilles heel in your training, or the thing that you've had to work on the most to develop the level of competitiveness that you're at right now. Because last year what did you place in the 3K and the 15K?
So 3K last year, this is a story that I've kind of stuck on for the last year. So 3K last year, they obviously seeded like the first couple of athletes. I think you were in the seeded heat for the 3K as well. And some of it based on like results from last year, and some of it based on like the feeding events, like the NORAM and SA Champs and so on. So I won the SA Champs, and that's why they put me in that heat. And I'm standing there next to Albin and Atkins and the whole, row of like super competitive athletes. And I thought, Thomas, don't screw this up. No. And so we went off, and I just went out, guns blazing. And I came over the line in third. So that's all know how it works. You go off in heats. So there's people at a later stage that didn't start next to you that might be able to beat your time. So got in third, and I think it was like an hour or like 45 minutes and so on that no one beat third like place. So this is me like, I got third, elite podium, world champs, been like a goal of mine for forever. Since like 2014 of the first world champs, it was like, I want to step onto that podium one day. It doesn't matter what it takes. So this feeling like I have it like sniffing it. It's like right here. And then Sergey from Russia came and he beat me by 9 seconds. Like 9 seconds is quite a lot in that sprint. But having that third place and then losing it to a fourth place, that sucked so bad. Like fourth, I'd rather be 10th then. Don't let me be fourth.
That's a hard tough way to go. Waiting. You weren't even able to race him. You just had to watch him wait.
I can think of 1,000 places where I could have made up seconds to do that race after that. But it is what it is. Okay, we can go back this year and try and beat Sergey, take back my third spot, or possibly better.
So what do you think could be done differently to correctly seed? Because looking at where I ended up placing 21st. you know, it was great. It was fantastic to be in that top 10. But I remember as soon as they called my name up, I'm looking all super cool. Like, yeah, I belong here on the outside. On the inside, I'm thinking there's Nikolai behind me, not in this wave. There's Leon. There is Sergey. There's Ludwig, all people who beat me. And I'm thinking, this needs to be refined a bit, because who knows, maybe it would have shaked out different if you had Sergey next to you or see him 9 seconds in front of you.
That's true. That would have been a different ball game. But I guess that comes down to the day. Hey, that race might have been different if you be able to see like your biggest competition. I think next year he might be better seeded because of the results this year, and some other people who did really well, like Leon is also super fast on like short course. But you kind of just have to like back yourself, go for it. I think what you're asking is, how do you determine who goes into that seeding batch?
Well, how better could they seed it, do you think? Or I guess better to ask the question is, knowing that that's the system that they currently have, and I believe it will eventually get refined to be a lot more accurate. What do you do in the meantime as an athlete? How is your mentality, especially now that you've had a taste of the most raw version of how this system, if you're not mentally prepared for it, can shaft you? How what are you going to do differently mentally during a race to make up that different feeling when you know that it's a time trial and anybody after you, it's not who you're racing, it's just you and literally the course?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. That's a very hard mental game to play, that race. And usually like 3/4 through the race, you find yourself wanting to, like, your body's like, slow down, your mind's like, not out. So I think it'll come down to a mental game, just in your training and in your racing, going back to every freaking second counts. If you can make up the second somewhere on a corner, or like, do an obstacle half a second faster, you do it. And I don't think you can do more than that.
Bracken, with your experience with sports and training, I would think that Thomas's background as a fighter, knowing that to lose is to literally get the shit beat out of you, he's coming into it maybe more well equipped than others, where you have to bleed every second and you can't slow down because there's no signals of the other guy slowing down or whatever. From your well-rounded, pretty noggin there, what approach are you going to take to give people who are training the right approach? Do they simulate this in training? Are there a certain book you would say to read to help wrap your mind around how to prepare for that kind of event?
I think you simulate it in training with specific time trials that focus on that style of racing, but it has to all start up here. I think with that time trial style of racing, you have to remove yourself from that mentality of I'm racing people to I'm racing the clock. And OCR Worlds does a fantastic job of a lot of things, but I think they're doing this incorrectly with the time trials, because they send people off in waves while being a time trial. And that's very confusing for an athlete. Even if they don't know they're confused, it's really hard to race people next to you and the clock at the same time. Every other time trial in the world sends out one person at a time, other than Spartan Stadium series, where they send out 10 or 15 every minute. But that OCR Worlds, every 30 or 60 seconds, they send out like 8 or 10 people. I think it's actually a really bad style of racing, because no matter how mentally locked in you are, it's really difficult not to get caught up in racing the people around you. Where if you're set off in a line, even if it's one every 5 seconds, go, 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 you're instantly locked into chase mode and attack mode. Group of people, you automatically start playing your strategy based off people that you're around. And we've seen people work to beat the person next to you and then get beat by people behind you. And I think that it has to be one person at a time. And the only way to seed that is the day before or earlier in the day, there has to be a solo time trial run. You break off maybe 1,000 meters of the course and everyone runs that 1,000 meters, and you take your time on that, and it reverse seeds the next day of racing.
Oh, I would hate to do something like that the day before.
1,000 meters, you can get done in 5 minutes. And maybe they have to rework the weekend. Maybe Friday's time trial for the 3K, and 3K is done on Sunday. I'm not sure how it would work, but you can't send people out in waves and have it be a time trial. It's just, it's not fair, I don't think, to anyone. It has to be one at a time, seated.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
yeah,
what you think on that?
Well, it comes down to the the weekend, like you mentioned, the weekend's full of racing. Like, when is it too much racing in one weekend for everyone to do? You kind of have to pick either specific events to do really well in, because we have the 100-meter coming in this year as well.
That's true.
And so if you want to do like all the events, the 100-meter, 3K, 15K team, it's a big weekend of racing to do really well at everything, except when you're like Albert and Atkins. You just, I don't know, looks like you. Every day you just get
a sign of maturity of a sport when you can't do everything. You know, you take a look at Nordic sports, or you take a look at track and field, or whatever it is, and everyone can't do every event. When the sport matures, I think it lends credence to the sport as a whole. When you can't just show up and do every race in a weekend and make a podium in all of them, that you have to choose and pick your spots. But I agree with you that that might be too much. And so maybe we don't do a time trial to set it up, but I still think they have to send out one person at a time, or send out everyone at a time. But I don't think there's
that would be chaos.
Yeah.
That would be chaos. They can't handle it. So I think one at a time, every 5 seconds, every 3 seconds.
Oh, there's something about that format. I picture it in my head, and I immediately get the ball in my stomach, because I picture the person, which I'm assuming would be Albin, who's in the front, or whoever it is in the front, is now like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, or less, if you reverse seed it. But if you ever watch Nordic sports, if you watch biathlon, you know, Nordic combined, things like that, that's how it's done. They do a time trial, and then they set it up, and then there's just a time, you're all in line, and it's beep, go, and then they're just out there. And from the start, you're narrow focused on, all I have to do is attack the entire way through. You don't get caught with racing people.
Yeah. You know, Thomas, you're switching gears a little bit. You are from South Africa, and something I realized when I was over there is everyone's super nice. Nobody really talks a ton. I know that because that was my feedback constantly. It was like, wow, you talk a lot, Manny. And the South African men are like more reserved. So how's the trash talk scene over there? Does anybody get involved in like elbow tossing or anything like that? I've never seen that.
That is a very good point. I think we have quite a mellow trash talking scene in South African OCR scenery. I don't think we have a lot of, I always want to call it politics, but every sport has their politics, every place has their politics. But we don't get a lot of trash talking around. I think we don't have a lot of people like you and Hunter around stirring the boat often enough. But yeah, I think it's a very reserved, I guess is the right word.
Right.
In a certain, we're a bunch of crazies. We do a lot of crazy stuff, but like we don't.
Oh yeah.
We don't do trash talk a lot. Not that I know of. Or I'm missing all of it. Maybe they're all just like trashing me and nobody tells me.
You're the one person that they all directed at when you're not around.
I saw a meme the other day. It was like, if everybody talks shit in a group of friends, and if you say no, you're the one that everyone's talking shit about. You're not included.
Probably true.
So the reason I think about that is because immediately when this new ranking system came out, which I think is bollocks, with OCR Worlds, it's kind of just like a voting system. They pick 15 names, which I don't even know how those 15 original names are picked. And then there's a communal board of people who are from all different parts of the industry, and they vote on who they think the best athletes are, and they're ranked based off those votings. And you are in there at, is it 7th place?
No, I surprised myself when I opened that thing. I'm in 4th currently.
You're in 4th. Okay. Now, I'm not here to say that the numbers or how it actually panned out there is right or wrong. I just have a problem with the system that they chose it, because I could see how they came to a lot of conclusions they did. Like your obstacle dominance, like if they're looking at it, you know, if Ryan Woods was plopped into this series over here and Thomas was plopped into this race series and stuff, and it's all hypotheticals and things. But the reason I went to Trash Talk is because as soon as that came out, Jack Bauer started messaging me, and we were just talking shit back and forth about where I rank on his system versus where I would rank in this new system, and that's just where my brain went. But if you had to shit talk somebody this year, which it's kind of hard for you to do because you're the big dino, like, is there anybody who's even like right next to you while you're racing anymore? Like, does Claude even give you a run for your money anymore?
So yeah, you make it sound like I'm completely dominating. Competition down here is getting super tight. I think we're gonna have as a South African team, we're gonna have a really good international season. We've been like Claude is, what is he? Well, I mentioned he's 42 now, and he's still up there. He's still some segments he still outruns me. I think I keep up a bit better these days than I used to, or he's getting slower. I don't know. And there's a guy called Armin Botha or Armin. he used to be a 10K track athlete, and he's one of the guys locally that's been putting on the gas like hard. So also light, small, and super fast. So I need to step on his ankle somewhere. I don't know when he's not watching, but I think he's going to do really well at Worlds this year, or possibly on that European circuit.
Who's the I forget his name, the big model looking dude who was on Sports Illustrated.
Model looking dude. Yeah, I call him Pretty Face. Trevor Logaway. He's quite a well-known guy in the men's health cover scene. For a big high.
That's quite.
Say again.
Okay.
I said the men's health cover scene. That's quite a scene to be a part of.
Yeah. So Pretty Boy, exactly. He's got this Pretty Boy face. Like these photos, you always get photos of like race day, and everybody looks like they're suffering, or like you have this piece of spit hanging on your beard, and you're dying, and there's mud everywhere. But photos of him always looks like this composed face, like he's like staring to the distance while pulling this big tire. So he always looks good.
Dude, he's bigger than you, right?
He's a big guy, yeah. I think we're height-wise pretty much the same. He might weigh a bit more than me. I don't know.
I remember at the tire, I had gapped him by, I don't know, maybe 45 seconds at the championships, and he comes running up behind me, and I'm like, trying to get that stupid tire moving. And, I weigh at the time, like I'm 170 right now. And I weighed, I think 155 at the time. And I'm just like struggling with this stupid thing. And he just goes hiking past me and he goes, "Welcome to South Africa." Well, that's kind of an Australian accent. I don't know what's going on there, but he goes, "Welcome to South Africa, American." And I'm like, you.
Yeah, so if I have to name someone that likes the trash talking, I think he'll be on top of it. He might be forever. He always like making fun in some way or causing jokes. Keeps it fun though, but yeah, he uses his fat to his advantage, pulling the tire.
Yeah,
that's an advantage. I like that.
So what's your main focus this year? Is you said you haven't decided? It's kind of a toss up in the air right now between 3K and 15K worlds.
Yeah, so definitely Worlds. That's like the main peak event for the year. Whether I'm going to be putting 100% focus on the 3K or 15, I'll still be deciding. But I'm bringing a game that weekend. I just have to. And then obviously the local series, the Warrior Series, is a big focus because it's kind of a local scene, and obviously do really well at those events. So Warrior Series, we have 8 events during the year, and then 5 of those events make up your series. So it's always like this nail biter final between myself and Claude, so I'll focus on that. And then possibly these mid-year European races would be quite cool if I can get 1 or 2 of those in. So currently on that ranking they just put out, I'm in 4th, and there's a whole lot of really good people underneath me that I could imagine being 4th. So it would be cool to go over and have some competition against a guy like Nikolai and Leon and Thibault and all those oaks that's in Europe. So that'll be cool.
And Nikolai what is he on there? He's only like 2 spots behind you, right?
Yeah, I think he's in 6th currently.
Hey,
Tom. Yeah.
Hey, guess what? You better be shaking in your boots, my buddy, because I beat him. Yeah. Yeah.
Check that face. It says, "Pumped up, Beni."
Yeah. Just miss your spear, and then I'll have a chance at beating you.
I can try that, or not.
Yeah. Right, let's do your workout of the week, and then some rapid fired questions, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Workout of the week. If I have to say fun wise or like enjoyable wise, those rock climbing sessions are really cool. And then second would be those long, slow distance events where you just pick a route, go search for waterfalls, run around, and that's usually my most enjoyable workouts. No one really loves track sessions. They say they do, but they don't.
Thomas, don't be selfish. You get one. You get 1 workout of the week.
I got 3 workout of the week. Boulder session.
Cool. What about you, Bracken?
We're going to rapid fire a little bit, Thomas. Let the audience get to know you a little bit better. The full composite of who Thomas is. All right.
Okay.
Favorite meal?
Favorite meal? Cheat meal or like prep meal?
Anything. Favorite meal?
Yeah. Big ass burger.
Biltong.
Biltong, Beni. Biltong for the win.
Drink. Favorite drink?
Favorite drink? If I have to cheat, like appetizer. Appetizer's really good. Or big bubblegum milkshake.
Bubblegum milkshake?
I've never had one of those.
So manly.
I know, right?
I want your big ass burger in a bubblegum milkshake, sir.
See, spot on.
That's
All
worse
right.
than a glass of milk.
One shoe to train in and then one shoe to race in. What would it be?
Want you to train in Solomon Sense Ride. I've been training in that thing forever. Racing Solomon S-Lab Speed. Like World Champs, those muddy events. Woo-hoo, nailed it.
Excellent. I like it. Favorite non-OCR athlete?
Favorite non-OCR athlete. Ooh. He might be not so well known in our sporting circles, but who knows Hank McGregor? He's a paddler, a kayak dude. He has dominated the kayaking scene or the international, I don't know what, surf ski scene, whatever it is that they paddle on. He's been he was part of the Jeep team at one stage, and that guy's mental game is just insane. It's almost like Albin, just you're always like right on top of your game, just like never let slack in.
Is that the crazy like rapids shooting down waterfalls type thing?
No, that's like marathon canoeing kind of thing.
Okay.
If you haven't heard of Hank McGregor, just Google him. It's completely insane animal endurance athlete. It's really. He won like the world champ 10 years in a row.
And you know him personally?
Not as much. We don't interact as much these days, but he was on our WhatsApp group when we had the Jeep thing going on. So there a little bit, but just very inspiring guy. So
okay. When you got into OCR, who was the athlete you looked up to? Who's your OCR athlete that's always been that up there on the pedestal for you?
Yeah, international, obviously, Albin and Atkins has been at it for a long time. And I think it might be a stereotypical answer at this stage, like, who you look up to? Like, Albin and Atkins, But yeah, definitely those two would be right up there. And then locally, the first icon locally was definitely Claude. Like, he was my biggest rival, but in a sense, I was like, this guy's really good. He's actually my coach now. Ironically, we were like rivals for the last 5 years, and now he's my coach. Yeah.
That's cool.
Where's your favorite place you've ever raced?
Ooh, favorite place ever raced.
Yeah.
Yes, I can only pick one.
Yes, you must pick one, but you can say 2 or 3 if you want.
See, I like Bracken.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
The obstacle dominator. Yes, Beni.
Tahoe was really cool. I only went 1 year, 2017. I did Tahoe, and that venue is just insane with all like cableways up and down, and it's a really cool venue with like the village and everything. Yeah, I'll pick Tahoe. Blue Mountain second.
Blue Mountain second.
That was gorgeous, dude. That course was stunning.
It was brutal. It was like this wreck bag up those slopes. Oh man, that was bad. But
right. Favorite book? Are you a reader, Thomas? Favorite book?
Currently busy with Elon Musk's book.
Okay.
It's like a biography of him. Team Elon all the way. Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
Love him.
So you don't think the bubble's about to burst on Tesla?
Maybe. I don't know. But just have you listened to that podcast of Elon and Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
No. Bracken's missing out.
That's a good one.
My next long run, I'll pop it in.
It's scary. That's what it is.
It is scary in a way, but I don't know. I just like the guy. He's like, I don't know what it is about him. I think he's an awesome dude. Not all the stuff that he's done. That's awesome as well. But like his take on life.
Are you you trying to be the first Tesla sponsored athlete as well?
Don't bubble it. Don't put it out there, Beni. Come on.
You just plug it into your ribs before every race, get charged up.
Yeah, I'll have like a power pack inside my cap. And
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Favorite movie? Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie. Jeez, again, I have to pick one. This sucks. I have like 10.
You can only pick one, but you can say up to 3.
Oh, see? This is like a democracy thing.
Yeah.
One. Jeez. Again, I don't want to go with like the stereotypical thing, like Gladiator or whatever.
Gladiator's top 5 for me. I can say that.
Yeah, that's a really good movie, but yes, he won. Avatar was really good.
Yeah. Wait. To clarify, you're talking about the blue people, not like the shitty Avatar Airbender movie, right?
No, but that can't be like the best ever movie ever. Definitely the blue people.
Yeah.
Blue all the way.
That one was incredible.
Last question I have then. If you could be a pro athlete at any sport other than OCR, what sport would you be doing?
Yo, it's other than OCR. No, I don't know. Blank slate.
You do a lot of adventure racing stuff. You mess around with different sports.
Yeah, it would definitely be something adventurous. So something out there, something outdoors, like either like those mad river kayaking dudes, something like that, or adventure racing, or like something out there. You know, people that run really big mountains, or paragliding would be really cool as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. You have piqued my interest. Do they let outsiders in just for the championships, or do you have to qualify in South Africa?
Good question. I'll make double sure on that. I will be guessing if I tell you, but I think they would let outsiders in.
You have me interested.
Phone really low. My phone says it's gonna shut out in 30 seconds. Give me.
That's all right.
Bracken, if you go, I'll go, and that'll be the first race that I beat you at.
Oh, please.
I'll beat you at that race.
Please, please, please. Now, to be fair, Benny, you do have one victory over me, technically.
What's that? Oh, are you talking about the show?
No, didn't you beat me at a Battle Frog when I spent 45 minutes on the last obstacle?
Oh, yes, I did. I remember running past you, being sure that you and Hobie were done. But then as I'm running up the wall, I'm thinking, Bracken didn't have a medal around his neck. Go, go, go.
You'd be forgiven for thinking that, since we were sitting on the ground and I was drinking a Red Bull at the time.
Right.
I was trying to get back in my fingers.
Yep. I remember that. I beat Kent at that race too, and Isaiah.
So yeah, you technically have one, but I think we can just strike that one from the record.
Just to put that under the rug.
So you'll beat me in a Jeep race?
I'll beat you in a Jeep race, yeah. I think I will.
A Warrior race, sorry.
Or I'm sorry, yeah, it's Toyota, by the way, now. Jeep's
why
been...
will you beat me? Thomas, why will he beat me at a Warrior race?
I think that'll be a fair game. I can't pick one because you both have to come here and do it first.
Okay. Benny, why do you think you'll beat me there?
I'll beat you because it's the same thing as Battle Frog. You're gonna get taxed on these grip strength obstacles. Thomas did a great job of playing it down earlier because we're. Doesn't matter, my friend.
My obstacle game has not improved at all in 6 years.
It has, but Bracken, you've never raced aside from OCR. OCR Worlds has been your hardest experience, that in Battle Frog, and I have been racing races like that way more under my belt than you have. So it's just, for me, it's coming down to the experience of those type of courses and knowing how to manage that, which, you know, I could be overestimating how much that makes a difference on how we race, but I don't know. I think I could. And you know what? That is taking a bold statement because it's the Black Ops Elite, which is a 15K. So that's drastically playing more to your running ability than a shorter course would. But I will tell you, if you come and do the short course, which there's no way you'll be able to resist it, I'll beat you at that.
How short?
It's like 100 meters, right?
Oh, you're talking to OCR Worlds?
No. I'm talking about the Toyota Warrior short course. It's insanely high speed. It's done in like 60 seconds. It's a tournament that you complete throughout the day. You have to qualify, and then there's 3 rounds where they break it down to 4 final racers. There's only 4 lanes. Or there's only 3 lanes on some of the obstacles, so you have to strategize. It's over in roughly 60 seconds. There's a very long balance beam. There's twisty gymnastic movements. It's really set up for you because you're such a well-rounded athlete. But I still think I'd be able to edge you out.
The real question is, could you beat Nicole Miracle there?
I would smash Nicole at that race.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, Thomas, I got to get over there then. We'll have to collaborate offline and make this thing happen.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of people down here that would be willing to help out for people like yourself that would like to come over. So let's make it happen.
Let's do it. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Well, Thomas, where can people find you online?
Well, most of them would just be at Thomas OCR. If it's not at Thomas OCR, it's at Thomas_OCR. Facebook, Insta, Twitter, mostly active on Facebook and Instagram, stories and whatnot. But Twitter, not so much. It's there. Just link it from Insta, so there's something going on there. But Instagram mostly.
Right now.
So just following you right now. I already followed him. Welcome to the team, Bracken.
Behind the times.
Boom.
Cool. Well, Thomas, dude, it was great having you on, and I hope we were able to. We've had you on once before, way back in season 1 with Hunter and Ben. I think I listened to you then, and I think we brought a lot more content to the listeners this time. So thanks for coming on. I super look forward to either racing you, probably not going to happen at the championships this year in South Africa, but hopefully 2020. But either way, hopefully Bracken and I both will see you at OCR Worlds.
Definitely, I'll be there. So yeah, thanks for having me on, and we had a chat, and hopefully we can do more of these in the near future as crazy stuff comes up.
Woo!
Good luck this season, my friend.
Thanks, man. You too. See you guys around somewhere, maybe London.
Lekker bride, cheers.
Like a bright. Cheers, Benny. Cheers, Bracken.
Yeah.
Visit obstacledominator.com for show notes, training, and racing resources, and leave your question for Beni and Bracken.